Now it's time to get to the charts that matter, and Peter McGuire, XM CEO, joins me now in the studio. Peter, what a pleasure to have you in the studio. Thank you for coming in.
Well, lovely to be here, Danielle.
Yeah, no, we were, before we get to your charts, we were just talking about, I was reading about it, cocoa. What's going on?
Well, it comes down to price. It's been an explosion. If you're looking at it like where we've been in the last 5 years, 2,000 a metric tonne, now you're over 9,000, more expensive than copper. It's been absolutely parabolic since the start of the year, and it all comes down to weather outages and all of those impacts that are affecting crop production. And you've got that huge demand this time of year, naturally, for the chocolate side of things with Easter, and not only our Easter, but of course Orthodox Easter over the next 6 weeks. So big demand for chocolate consumption.
Yeah, absolutely. I suppose that means dash out now and get set before the stocks run out.
Well, probably, and the cost of it would be explosive, because considering where you've been, it was, you know, that $2,500 to $3,500 price range, now over 9,000. So yeah, I think there's even further upside yet.
Wow. Okay, let's get to the first chart that you brought along, which is the daily performance.
Yeah.
So run us through here. Quite some strength, as we can see up top.
Well, exactly right. You know, you've seen a big bounce as far as crude oil, and it's and Brent, not only WTI, dollar index has bounced, and so has gold. So all of those, I think, attraction from a trading perspective has been very positive. And if you're looking as far as activity from traders, they've been very bullish across those instruments over the last couple of sessions. And gold hasn't disappointed either. We're back around that 21.90 handle. And I think there's every chance you could see, you know, this week before Easter, back above 2,200. So yeah, there's a lot of attraction, and keep your eye very much on crude oil.
Do you think the response in gold is any reflection of people hedging against the US dollar?
Absolutely. I think there's the first point, of course, the storyline as far as inflation and when we're seeing rate cuts this year, and when we do see some sort of washout as far as Fed policy, so rate cuts really start to take some traction, then, you know, I think gold's probably got even more upside. So we've just got to keep a very close eye on silver as well, and they've certainly been very dynamic, and retail, because people are buying physical like there's no tomorrow, including, of course, central banks.
That's really interesting, isn't it? Because it's not just ETFs.
No.
It's the central banks, it's China and Russia.
Oh, India?
Yeah.
You bet. So yeah, the attraction across Africa, and people store it as, you know, underneath the pillow, and it's their natural source of wealth. And if you go to Indian weddings, and just I think the huge, well, it's just part and parcel of their society, and very much, maybe not so much in Australia, but very much across, you know, most of the world.
Diverging very quickly. That I find so interesting, because it's one of the standout differentiating points between something like Bitcoin and gold.
Sure.
Do you see that?
Well, I do see it. I see also that you've got, you know, if you're looking at Bitcoin, there's only 21 million coins out there, and you've got 9.5 million, and you've, you know, when we're looking at April, the halving, but that's bounced also nearly at 70,000. So yeah, gold has been a long-standing, doesn't pay a coupon, as we know, so there's no dividend, it's just physical. But the attraction is very much, you know, you can wear it from jewellery, a store of wealth, and the dramatic move that you've seen over the last, you know, 20 to 30 years has been outstanding. 40 years ago, it was 300 an ounce. I remember it distinctly. So there you are, less than. And then it's bounced very, very strongly since then. So that's it's a hedge against inflation, and many traders love it, both from a trading perspective with paper or physical.
Absolutely. And the next one, the Euro US dollar. Let's have a look at that one, and give us your thoughts, Peter.
Well, where you're looking, I think it's been a bit choppy, and we'll probably sit around. I'm interested in the roll up naturally to Easter, so I wouldn't be surprised to see possibly a little bit movement as far as that US dollar against the euro in the short run. But the overall theme at the moment, Danielle, is one of choppiness. Depending upon the instrument you're holding, you might be looking at option strategies, you may be looking straight out futures or CFDs. It depends on, you know, the way that you want to tackle an investment like that, or a market opportunity. But there seems to be, again, I think, plenty of movement across that whole currency complex leading into this Friday. Markets don't shut Friday, by the way, they'll be open.
Oh, that's interesting. Now, I was going to ask you, because somebody suggested...
Well, FX markets won't be.
So equities are closed. What about treasury markets?
I think they're closed. I think I believe they're closed, but FX, that will be, so
Friday. That's where we're going to see all the playing out of the PCE number.
Well, there's the first part. Second part is, of course, you're at end of week, end of month, and end of quarter on Friday. So little news, sometimes you see big blowouts as far as price and volatility. So I won't be surprised to see, I think, I'm not going to say explosive moves, but I think that it's nearly a perfect storm when you run it all together, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely. And then let's go to the third chart. We have discussed gold, but let's actually have a look at the chart. And again, you can share your insights here.
Well, I look at it, it's just been parabolic. If you're looking at that big explosive move to the upside, it's just gone, one-way traffic, and you saw there a record, $2,222. It's bounced and it's had a bit of a correction from that point. It got a lot of that hot air got taken out back to 2180, 2175, but it's since bounced up higher, Danielle. And I feel as though that, that every opportunity to take that out sometime, I would think, in April. So the overall momentum is strong, and the attraction again from what central banks are doing, where the rate policy is going to be, inflation story, geopolitics, everything rolled together makes gold a very attractive trade, not only in paper but of course in physical.
Fantastic, Peter. Well, excellent insights, and maybe we should all occasionally check our screens come Easter Friday. There might be a few shocks out there.
I think so.
Interesting. Fantastic. Thank you so much for coming in.
Cheers.
Okay, well, that does it for this episode of The Trade. Be sure to join us tomorrow.